Hey, welcome to Christmas Tech with Aussie Phil. We're back here today and we're going to have a look at some basic fault finding on pixels or pixel strings. And we're going to jump right into it and straight away. There's no point pontificating. One of the big things with pixels is that at some point you'll get a failure. Use them long enough and one of the pixels will either go out, it will have a strange color, it just won't light up, or it'll stop working and the rest of the string will stop working. So what we've done over the years is we've got a little generic box here, and you can see there that our spring connectors take in that. This cable goes away up to my controller. We just set the controller output to whatever protocol pixels we're looking at. Today we're looking at some really old 2801s that I checked out when we were looking at this year's, last year's show actually now. And they're 4-pin connectors. So we just got a pigtail, it's got 4 pins, and we've plugged in the ground, data and clock that we do need for those. To power them, we're going to use a standard 2-pin adapter because all my pixels run power input independent of the data input. So I would recommend that anyone who's doing this make up the appropriate levels of various things. First thing I'm going to do is, and let me just throw on the tripod. We've got power coming into this unit there from this digital benchtop supply. Mightn't look very big, but it is. It's set for 5 volts at the moment. It will be constant current as well, so I've got it set for 1 amp. And 1 amp's not enough to drive the entire string, and I happen to know that this string is already faulty. But that allows me to make sure I don't blow things up from short circuits and stuff like that. So the first thing I'm going to do is plug it in to power. I'm going to turn the supply on, and basically what I'm looking for here is, do we have a short circuit anywhere? The power supply hasn't gone into current limiting. It's sitting there. The little bit of current you're seeing is actually driving that meter. So at this point, it's probably pretty safe to plug in our data. Unlike most people that say don't plug your data in live, I've nearly always plugged my data in live and they all just flashed then briefly. The controller's live and it is outputting data. So that's something I've never particularly worried about. So what we'll do is we'll duck into our Falcon controller and we'll turn test mode on and we'll start it up. And it's just in a basic color wash setup, so we'll turn that off in a minute. Now, the camera that's pointing down at the desk is not very tolerant of high brightness, but what we'll do is we'll just take these and we'll go, well, what we're looking for is where it stops working. And we'll just take these off out of view. And what we'll find is, there's my faulty pixel. Now I did, and I'll be quite honest, when I was checking these, I wrapped these so I could refind them. But you can see that the pixel after it is not lit up. So the question is, here, is it this pixel here that's not sending data to that pixel, or is this pixel itself gone faulty? So this becomes the purpose of the box, because what we can do now is we can cut this wire, plug the rest of the string into this control, into the box, and see if this pixel works. That'll tell me straight up whether it's this pixel that's actually not sending data, and clocking these. These are 2801s, hence the 4Y pixels. These are old ones. Or it's this pixel that's faulty. And if this one works, because this one's not sending data, we cut this one out of the circuit. This one's faulty, then we can cut this one out of the circuit. What a lot of people say is, if you're out in the field, you've got your display up, just cut 3 of them out, and you're probably going to be able to make sure that that's okay. So let's turn the power off and there, and make sure that when you're doing this, like myself here, that you do mark the pixel. So we'll just fold that in half, find the halfway point, and slice enough. Make sure the power's off when you do this, because if you're not doing this with the power off, you will cause a short and it won't be pretty. All right, so we know that red is voltage, okay? And the other one's there. And if I'm smart, so this should go yellow in these is ground. So red, yellow, green and blue. We'll follow that across there. So we'll just unplug that pigtail right there now. Strip the end of these wires so we've got something to plug into those. Give yourself enough so they can get under the connector or whatever you happen to be using. And with a bit of luck, I should be able to just. And you can see this box was probably designed for the 2801 order of wires in the first place. Because when I do that, it's a shouldn't pull at it very hard because they will pull out. So let me plug that back in. Now on 2801s, if you reverse the data and clockwise, you don't do any damage, but they will just flicker. So it's pretty easy to see. All right, we've got that in there. We'll turn that back on, and that looks pretty dead. That's definitely not working. Okay, so we'll turn that off, and we will unplug that. Sort of a bit of a process of elimination. So we'll take this pixel here, and again, drop that one out, strip these wires back, spread them out so that we can see what we're doing. And flick it over. You just unplug that there. That's actually the good bit of the first string. Put that on the floor, out of the road. And we'll go back to doing this. So again, red, up, positive. And of course, what do? They want to pull out. Just make sure you've got a connection in there. I really do hope green is data, but as I said, they will just flicker if they're not right. And we will again apply power. And there we go. I've knocked a lamp over. But guess what? We have a working string of pixels. So this guy here just wasn't working. And more than likely, the little IC in there, 2801, is blowing. We might put that under microscope and see if we can find a photo of it. Pull this apart. These are old flat silicon base ones. I used to use them on one of the mega trees, facing like that. Because what happened was the water, rain, condensation would get there. It would weep down into the connection there and eventually go through and burn them up. These are quite old, as you can see. They've got quite discoloured over time. So what you do at this point is, and I will just power that down. That string's drawing around about 1 amp peak as it's going on. We're going to do some further tests around that. What you would literally do at this point is grip soldering iron. With those, we already know that this string's fine, and literally we'll just join those together in the appropriate fashion. Bit of solder, bit of heat shrink, put them back into service. We might actually depending on what you're doing, you'd actually have to add a pixel back in here. So apologies for that. So you grab one of your spares somewhere and add a pixel back in there. We're actually going to use this string to do some other tests. So I'm not going to join it together. We're actually going to cut 2 pixels off this string and do some voltage drop comparisons and things like that, and just see how we go. So I hope that get rid of that. That's the basics of fault finding. Just work your way down the string, cut out the one that looks faulty, and work a little bit. Just work either way. And so if that was the faulty one, what I'm saying when I say work either way, so you'd cut that one, test. If that one worked, you'd come back and cut this one out because it's obviously not sending data, and insert a known good one. It's also a quick way to find known good ones. And there's no reason you can't just plug in a single pixel and see if it works through this little setup that I've got here. The beauty of using the constant current power supply is that in the event that you do have a short circuit, you'd see it straight away because the power supply will go into constant current overload protection and limit the current. And you can start to explore where your short circuit is. I think we do have another string somewhere that's got a short circuit in it. When we find that, I'll do another quick video on locating a short circuit in your string and see how that works. Thank you all for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to put a like on it. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll be doing a lot more videos around this. This one will form and go into our little basic series for pixels and Christmas lighting in general. We hope this is useful for anyone who wants to go out and do repairs on it rather than just replace an entire string. Thank you all.